I'm Lionel Blackman for the Epsom and Ewell Times. Immediately, I want to thank Ness Scott and Julie Katsalis, its Chief Executive Officer, and the technicians and other staff that have helped host this event. Thank you very much. So, without further ado, the proceedings will begin with each candidate that represents more their party than their ward they're fighting for, if you follow. We couldn't fit all the candidates on the stage, obviously. They're to be given 3 minutes each, and they know... okay, technicians, can you turn the volume up? 3 minutes they will have strictly. I've got a timer on me desk, and we will start alphabetically party-wise. So Kieran Persand, who is a councillor on Epsom Ewell Borough Council for Horton Ward. Kieran Persand for the Conservative Party.
Thank you, Lionel. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming tonight. I've been a councillor for close to over 3 years, and I've seen firsthand the disastrous leadership of the RA Council and what they've done to Epsom and Ewell. With its poor financial management, lack of transparency, withholding information, taking residents for granted, I've seen everything. And nowhere has been clearer than 3 examples: the chalk pit, which is close by, the local plan, and the community council proposal that they delivered. None of them reflected what residents wanted, but yet they tried to push it through. People often ask me, why am I a Conservative? And I always give the same answer: because of the work Conservatives do locally. I've always seen a local Conservative work hard and fight for residents, and that's something I've carried with me as being one of your councillors. I've worked hard for residents, leading the campaign in the council to protect our green belt and green spaces from development, tabling amendments, tabling motions, and tabling numerous questions. I also led, alongside residents, the successful campaign to stop Residents' Association community council proposal, as mentioned a minute ago. That proposal would have meant more council tax paid by you, everyone in this room, for an additional, it would have been funny, because the only thing that you would have managed was allotments, and you would have paid an uncapped precept for that. And I'm glad that we stopped that, particularly during the cost of living, where every penny matters and residents deserve value for money. Over the last few weeks, speaking to residents on the doorstep, one question keeps coming up. All the parties say they fix potholes, they'll tackle crime and antisocial behaviour, protect our green belt and our green spaces. So what makes you different? The answer is simple: is our track record. There are only 3 Conservative councillors on Epsom and Ewell Borough Council, and yet we have been involved in every major campaign, from Chalk Pit to Priest Hill to Horton Farm. Others may talk about protecting the green belt, like many of they do in their literature, but none of these parties alongside me today have tabled countless motions to do so. The Conservatives have. Others may talk about tackling crime and antisocial behaviour, but we're the ones that have been organising campaigns, led resident meetings, engaged with the Police and Crime Commissioner, and pushed for action. Yet again, it was the Conservatives. And we will continue to do so, especially in the new Unitary authority, because this election is about who will fight for Epsom the loudest and who will be that strong voice for our community. I've tabled motion after motion, amendment after amendment, question after question to fight for residents, to fight for you and make your voices heard. I'm proud of my record, and I'm proud of the Conservative record. When you vote on May the 7th, I hope you remember that. For me, this is personal. I was born and raised in Epsom and Ewell. This is my community, this is my home, and there is nothing more important to me than fighting for it, protecting our community, and making it the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up, Yvonne Grunwald for the Green Party.
Hey, I feel very lucky to have lived in Epsom West for 14 years. It's got a lovely common, it's got a hospital.
It's a bit closer to the mic than some people, yeah.
Is that better? Ooh, okay, thanks. Yeah, I feel very lucky to have lived in Epsom West for 14 years. In Epsom, we've got the common, we've got a hospital, we've got the leisure centre, and wonderful schools, and it's been a lovely place to bring up my children. All of our candidates are local, and I've been involved with local things ever since I moved here. I worked at the refill shop in Ashted for a while, and I volunteered at the Repair Cafe, and at the moment I'm helping set up a library of things in Ewell with the Epsom Ewell Climate Action Network. But I know that this is a particularly stressful time for a lot of people. A lot of people are finding it hard to pay bills, to afford houses. People are worried about what's happening to their green spaces. And a lot of people want change. So I'm a big believer that we need more community spaces, that we need to provide more opportunities for young people and more community, like youth clubs. But also, it's important that we listen to residents and what their immediate worries are. So for the last year, we've been knocking on doors, asking people what they want us to work on. And yeah, a lot of the time it's potholes and parking and antisocial behaviour. And we will work on those if we get elected. So we already have 13 Green councillors on Reigate and Banstead Council, and they've passed some budget changes that means it will be easier to fix roads and improve public transport. So we will have a presence on the new East Surrey Council, and we'll work as a team to make sure that we make all these changes. They've also been working hard on SEND, for example, protecting the green belt, building schools, community spaces, things like that. We're not coming from nowhere. We'll have a presence, and we'll be your voice for Epsom West. Have I got more time? I haven't brought my glasses, so I can't read my notes.
Yeah, your time's up, actually. So, thank you very much, Yvonne Grumwell for the Green Party. Next up, Councillor Robert Galit, Labour Councillor for Court Ward, serving on Epsom Ewell Borough Council.
Thank you, Lionel. Thank you. Can you hear me? Good. So, hello, I'm Councillor Rob Galit, and I've lived on the Longmead Estate in Epsom for nearly 50 years. I've been a Labour Borough Councillor in Court Ward for almost 15 years, and I had the honour of serving as Mayor in Epsom and Ewell 23-24, which was the best year of my life. When I was in my late teens, I made some bad choices. That was partly the result of growing up on what is, in effect, a sink estate in our borough. When families first moved in during the late 1970s, it was full of young children. Those children all became teenagers at the same time, and when drugs arrived, the impact was devastating. The estate has only truly recovered in recent years. Labour councillors in Epsom and Ewell have worked relentlessly, knocking on doors every weekend, helping residents with real problems and fighting for our community. Together we have helped lift the area, and now we want to bring that same experience and commitment to the whole of the new West Ewell ward. My own life has not been easy. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia in my early 20s, and I've faced stigma and prejudice ever since. But I recovered. I've held down a full-time job for more than 25 years, and today I work as a Java developer on a government project for the Crown Prosecution Service. I know what it means to overcome challenges, and I know how important support and opportunity can be. And be careful of the Liberal Democrats. Their West Ewell leaflets say it's a fight between them and the Tories. The truth is, there are no Liberal Democrat or Conservative councillors in West Ewell, only Labour and Residents Association. If you want to experience local representatives who deliver, vote Labour. Please, whatever you do, don't vote Reform. Thank you.
Yeah. Next is David Buxton for the Liberal Democrats, who has the aid of an English Sign Language interpreter. Your time starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for organising the Hustings event tonight. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name's David, I'm deaf and was born deaf, and today I'm supported by a qualified sign language interpreter, which means you do hear a slightly different voice coming out of me tonight than you might expect. Professionally, I'm Chief Executive of a medium-sized charity supporting 4,500 disabled people every year. I also have worked for over 34 years in charity, community and in local government sectors. I've also served as a local borough councillor and been chair of Livingston Park Residents Association. Over recent years, local Lib Dems in Epsom and Ewell have been out in the community. We've been across all areas, meeting residents and speaking with you, knocking on doors, gaining information from you as well as keeping you informed. What that's led to is a plan, a real plan for East Surrey. What we're hearing from residents is really clear. It's the same thing again and again and again. People want local services to work properly. They want their roads maintained properly. They want housing provision with good infrastructure. And they need special educational needs to be met within schools. People need services they can rely on. And we will make sure that the council works properly for its residents. We have a really strong, hard-working member for Parliament in Helen Maguire, and what she needs is a team of local councillors behind her who can work as a team to really achieve things for Epsom and Ewell. This is our plan. We've worked for the last 2 years putting this manifesto together. Our priorities are practical: fixing the roads properly, not repeatedly patching, but solving things with a long-term plan. Building our housing where it's needed, but with proper infrastructure and plan, and making sure our specialist educational needs are met of our children. We need to build a council that works really well for our residents. What's now offered now is not working. We need to provide joined-up practical work. We must have change. We want to work with residents together to put our people first, to put young people first. We are standing candidates across every ward in this election, and therefore are able to put together a really strong team who can get things done. We offer stable, sincere leadership, and will provide joined-up practical solutions and services. It is time for a fresh start in East Surrey, in Epsom and Ewell. And please vote Liberal Democrat on the 7th of May. Thank you.
Thank you. Fifth up is Mr. Ben Cronin for the Reform Party.
Lovely, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Excellent. Well, I'm recently new to politics. I stood for reform in the general election in 2024 when I realised that none of my 4 children would ever be able to afford a house. And it was 30 years of Labour, Tory and Lib Dem policy that was causing this. I decided I was going to take my 30 years' worth of experience delivering multi-million-pound IT projects and working for some of the world's largest corporations. And while I didn't win, I did keep my deposit. It was better than the Queen's. And I realised that I could make a difference. As a Reform candidate standing in the local election, I am proud to be part of a strong team with one clear mission: protecting Epsom's green spaces, slashing wasteful council spending, and fixing the basic infrastructure we all rely on. These spaces are not bargaining chips for developers or career councillors. They are part of what makes Epsom great and worth living in. If elected, my first priority will be a full and ruthless review of every meeting minute, every decision, every manoeuvre that has led to the betrayal of our precious green spaces. Those who have been complicit in this sellout will be named and shamed. No ifs, no buts. Every resident who has suffered at the hands of the planning system will have their case properly reviewed. Transparency is not optional, it will be demanded and it will be delivered. Certain councillors have actually blocked elected members from properly scrutinising and voting against the disgraceful release of the green belt for reclassification of so-called grey belts. This includes the precious sites at Priest Hill and many other green belt areas across the borough. They have denied residents a voice and tried to stitch up our countryside behind closed doors. This stops now, they will be held to it. Reform UK will put local residents first, always. We fight to protect every inch of the green belts that can be saved and restore proper, democratic oversight to planning decisions in the borough. I'll also make it a priority to tackle the shocking state of our roads and the potholes that plague our neighbourhood. Over the past 2 months, I have driven down every single road in Epsom West, and the condition is frankly disgraceful. Residents should not have to swerve around craters to get to work, school or the shops. If elected, I will push for a full audit of every reported pothole and road defect, followed by a clear resurfacing plan that is prioritised. We will hold the council to account for the years of neglect they have inflicted upon the infrastructure. I will also demand a review of the council's planning processes and overall spending. The level of waste is eye-watering. The fiasco of the Rainbow Leisure Centre handover, which has already cost you, council taxpayers, £500,000, is nothing short of shameful. It needs to be fully investigated so that lessons are learned and such incompetence never happens again. The people of Epsom and Ewell are fed up with their hard-earned money being squandered while basic services crumble. Reform UK will put an end to the waste, demand value for money and ensure every pound of council tax is spent wisely and transparently. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cronin, for reform. And last but not least, Councillor Eva Kinkton of the Residents Association, Councillor serving Surrey County Council at the moment and former councillor for many years on Epsom and Ewell Borough Council. Thank you. Mr. Kinkton.
Thank you. I brought with me my manifesto, and I'm not going to read it out, but it sums up what the Residents Association candidates and their messages to residents, why they're so different from the political parties. Firstly, there's no bar charts telling voters that they need to vote for their party to stop another party winning the election. And secondly, there are no negative comments about individual political parties or individual opposition candidates. In fact, my manifesto does not reference any political party at all. So thirdly, for voters who don't want that negative politics, my manifesto provides an alternative that is positive affirmation of what I and my RA colleagues have achieved at Surrey County Council, and it offers positive solutions to the issues that residents raise with us. Fourthly, the RA manifesto focuses totally on local issues. National issues and national politicians are very important, but as local politicians, we cannot influence the outcome of wars, who's chosen as the ambassador to the United States of America, or even inflation. So local residents and communities are our focus, and what we can do to meet their local needs, their aspirations, are what we reference in our manifestos. But finally, what makes our manifestos different is that every one of the 5 manifestos issued by the RA candidates in Epsom and Ewell is unique in that its content and messaging and in its focus. Of course, there are some common themes, but it's not, as with other manifestos, the same information across Epsom and Ewell with just the faces and the names changed. For RA candidates and RA councillors, place our residents and the individual local communities at the forefront of our thinking and of our actions. That is our rationale, and if elected to East Surrey Council to assist in the creation of the council, we will go determined to ensure that systems are put in place to enable our communities to have their voice heard and that local differences are understood and respected in the development of policy and the decision-making of the council. Obviously, I will say more about the policies when I respond to the questions, but at this particular point, I want to just stress the importance of being positive and talking about yourselves and what you're doing rather than the negative. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It wouldn't be a local election without a question on potholes, so let's deal with that and get that one out of the way. John McIntosh, a sustainability consultant. Can you just identify, so you're there, the roving mic will come to you. Where's our roving mic man? There you are.
Hello.
Oh, it's right behind you.
Is it on?
Okay, go ahead. It's on.
It's on, okay. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't bring my reading glasses either, so I've got to do this. Nearly all the leaflets coming through my letterbox have said the candidates are going to fix all the potholes. I have no doubt that council officers will already be doing everything they possibly can to get potholes repaired. What do you think you can do differently as a councillor to repair potholes that someone hasn't already tried?
Eva Kinkton.
We have actually come up with a 3-point plan. Can I just say, yes, the officers are doing it, but it's the politicians at Surrey County Council who determine how things are done there, and the officers do that. We have a 3-point plan. Firstly, we will reinstate local highway officers who have a deep knowledge of Epsom and Ewell and who understand which roads and residential routes are failing, and they will report problems for immediate repair. Secondly, a find and fix, not repeat and wait. During high demand, we will replace the slow 3-stage report, inspect, and then repair with an agile find and fix crew who are empowered to identify and repair defects immediately on busy routes, slashing the weeks of delay through the reporting system. And finally, we would look to employ specialist technical for permanent fixes. We will champion the use of high-tier equipment like Pothole Pro, which incorporates the cutting, cropping and cleaning of hole in one seamless operation to ensure right first time repair that lasts years and not weeks. That is our commitment in the manifesto. It's there, very clear. We have a plan. Thank you.
Okay, next, Kieran Passan for Conservatives.
Thank you.
Just as a general guide, sorry, about a minute
be short.
for the answers, as
Absolutely.
we've got 6 on the stage.
All good, no worries. I'll keep it shorter than Lionel's. As a cyclist, I know firsthand how bad our potholes are. I think last Saturday I went through one and my tyre completely went. The Conservatives have pledged an extra 100 million to tackle potholes. It's a serious problem. I think, as my colleague just said, or member of the panel, I think we need a proactive approach, one that's a bit blanket rather than a bit part. Like right now, you have vans come out, they do one hole, but on the other side there's many others. And I think we need to reinvest in tackling it firsthand in a sense of, I think the current method of doing it is not adequate. We need to kind of look back and see if we can get the materials. Bad weather obviously happened over the winter, but be proactive in tackling it straight ahead. That's what I think.
Thank you. David Buxton.
Thank you for the question, and it's a fair question. The current model is very much a reactive one. Even the Conservative leaflet talks about this, but Surrey County Council has been run by the Conservatives for some time now. And so things could have been repaired for some time. And so that's a clear failure of action up to this point. What we see is that this isn't a funding issue, it is a management issue of the funds available. Things are fixed, they fail, and they're repaired again, and the situation doesn't improve. So a new council, a new administration who can address those management issues with new thinking is what we are offering. We want to look at how those technical issues affect real people, look at the damage that is being done to drivers and to cars, and disabled people not being able to use their pavements properly while we're here. The council, we are looking at having 3 things. Our manifesto is very clear that we want to change the system. That means we bring a lot of the repair back in-house, and we work in a coordinated, targeted program of outsourcing where there is specialist equipment we can't afford, but otherwise repairs are done in-house. And we really coordinate that approach well. So we're working efficiently with our funds, but also really able to monitor the work that is happening. As I say, this is not about funding. This is a management issue thus far that we can address.
Okay, I think we are repeating now, so can we move on? Do you mind? Okay. Robert Galit.
Thank you, Lionel. So we don't need to repair the potholes. What we need to do is resurface all the roads. Surrey County Council used to have teams all over Surrey, and they get round every street every 20 years. They've shortchanged us, and once again it's Labour who have had to step in to finance it. The street lamps are turned off at night, and our street drains go uncleared. It's not just frugality, it's incompetence.
Yvonne Grunwald for Green.
So, the Green councillors on Surrey County Council have recently made some budget changes. They've had them approved that will make it easier to fix potholes, specifically concrete roads, I think, because they degrade quicker than the other sort of roads, and that has recently been passed, and so that will be, moving forward, that will be easier to fix potholes.
Ben Cronin, you dealt with this quite a bit in your introduction. Is there anything you want to add just to save time if you don't?
Very briefly, so a councillor can't lay tarmac, but they can provide accountability, prioritise pressure and political will that sometimes gets lost in large organisations. My background is project management. I've done plans for companies worth over 600 million. Looking at this will be an interesting challenge for me to understand and get to the bottom of it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Moving on, Andy Reid, could you identify yourself? Okay, I'm taking a question that's arrived this evening, spontaneously. So the candidates have no forewarning.
Hey, I run a youth work charity in Epsom and Ewell, and we are regularly seeing young people that are telling me that they have nothing to do outside of school in terms of provision, youth clubs, drop-in centres, anything that a young person can do that isn't killing their own time in the park or hanging out in high streets. And I'm interested to know what you would do or what provision you would provide for young people in the area. Thank you.
Let's start in the other order. Can we go with you first, Mr.
Of course we can. Sorry, was it Andy?
Yes.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So I was chatting to a gentleman called Barry when I was canvassing, and he's involved in lots of local sports. And he was saying that with the planned building work on Hook Road Arena, there was some discussion of maybe providing sports facilities, netball courts, football courts, and that was completely ignored by the council. Stonewall, no feedback. I appreciate that kids today, I mean, I've got 4 children, the eldest is 27, the youngest is 14, and, you know, the devil makes work for idle hands, and you do need to provide facilities for children to do stuff. And at the moment, it's woeful. And I would say if there was some existing brownfield sites that the council has, then they should be thinking about the youth of today and tomorrow and provide something for them to do. Because if they have something structured, I know with my children, then they're productive and they shine. And if they're left to sort of kick around and rot and just, you know, walk around an large housing development, only bad things are going to happen. So, you know, I would be committed to finding out what the existing policy is, probably not a good one, and, you know, speak to people like yourselves involved in the local community, speak to people like Barry, and find out what you think is going to give the best bang for buck, because you deal with it on a day-to-day basis. I don't know, you know, so you can come and tell me, and we can make it happen.
Okay, thank you. Robert Galit for Labour.
Yes. So when I was first elected to the Borough Council some 15 years ago, they estimated that £10,000 per teenager was being spent on the kids growing up on the estate where I lived, along with the estate. If you don't fund kids, if you don't give them interesting things to do, exciting things to do, they will find exciting things of their own, and that will involve putting on a balaclava and riding an electric bike down the high street. So what you get, what you pay for, I'm afraid, when it comes to youth antisocial behaviour. And this is something that we will be holding the new authority to account with if we get Labour representatives on the new council.
Eva Kington for residents.
Yes, Surrey County Council has virtually withdrawn all funding for general youth work, and it's now targeted. It does mean there is that huge gap that it isn't there available to do what they should be doing, and what they are starting to do now, following pressure from all groups at Surrey County Council, is supporting the voluntary sector and charity youth work by providing funds, and particularly by premises on long leases, so you have people who are committed and knowledgeable and understand what the issues are, and they will be there to provide that provision which Surrey County Council has withdrawn from. Thank you.
David Buxton, please.
Thank you, Andy, for your question. It's important. Myself, from personal experience in youth work for many years, and also that my charity does in supporting young people for the last 30 years, we've seen what you're saying. We see the cuts and we see the impact that has. My son has himself been involved with Surrey Young Voice before, and the picture in Surrey has shifted massively, as you've described, based on cuts. Our plan in our manifesto is to make sure that we are really prioritising good quality mentorship and support to give role models to our young people so that they're charities that we are really partnering with. We're really committed to also supporting the provision of youth clubs, and our manifesto talks in detail about that. Young people are our future. They are our leaders of tomorrow, and they need investing in.
Thank you. Kieran, you sound like
As an actual young person, I fully understand this. Growing up, there was very little to do, affordable things especially. I mean, that's what we need to prioritise is, yes, you can have loads of sports and activities and clubs, focus on the arts, the creative industries, use private sector funding to help unleash this as well. In my role as a consultant, I do a lot of pro bono work for like Sony Music, who does amazing work with the communities, unlocking that, using charity work as well, because they'll know what to do. But it's important. I've worked with Bernie Muir, my county councillor in Epsom West, and it's all about bit part funding. I'm very committed to making this a major priority for me. So yeah.
Finally, on this, Yvonne Granworth Green, yes.
So I've got young kids, and there is a lot going on, but it's quite expensive, and so we need to make sure that it's available for everybody through funding. But also, a lot of the youth centres have been taken away, and so we need to make sure that they're reinstated. Personally, I'm a big fan of community spaces. We don't have many in Epsom and Ewell other than churches. And if you're not religious particularly, then, there's not many spaces for communities to come together. Youth centres, but also general community centres. And I think we need to create them and properly fund them.
Andy Reid, have you been filled with any hope?
Yeah.
Take the mic, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been a resident here for over 40 years, and I've heard repeatedly that there will be opportunities. I used to attend, there used to be a youth club in Linton's Lane where I used to go as a kid that was available most evenings, and it was a safe space where you could hang out with friends, and it was community run, I presume council funded, and that's the sort of space I think we need locally, and I think it would make a huge difference to the community if something like that was available. Thanks.
Anybody else want to follow up on this theme? Yes, lady at the front. You want to give us your name, that would be great.
Hi, my name's Christy. I've listened to what you said. You talk about Hook Road. It is green belt with some brown belt, but there is actually no centre there, so that doesn't work. You've got the shock factor from Labour about the Longmead. I also grew up the Longmead, and I'm one of 5. And yes, there was drugs. There is drugs now. It's worse than it was 40 years ago. But when I grew up there, we had the actual youth centre, which lots of people my generation went to the youth centre, and it was run by parents every Thursday night, Sunday. Our youth centres can't be run because parents both work now. Mothers used to be able to stay at home. Fathers could get home earlier. Most families have second jobs and parents work. So saying about having parents and sponsorship from major corporations like Sony, they will do inner city programs or stuff up in the south and the north and things like that in dedicated areas. You're not going to have that money coming in from privatisation. And if it stops, the help stops. Kids need consistency within their youth club. They need to know that it's going to be there every single week. And you talk about other stuff from Hook Road, staffing. Yeah, lots of places now we do have community centres in Epsom and Ewell. We do have places, but the problem is they're run by scouts, guides, clubs, and if you went into looking at the funding, you would actually see that the money, they then get grants, go back to the scouts, clubs, grants. Even our refugee network gets an awful lot of funding for swimming lessons, karate lessons, boxing lessons, but you have to be in that niche avenue to get it. Even our cricket clubs, you cannot hire them for a private party unless you're a member. So they're all member-type clubs. What we need is somewhere for kids to be able to go where you don't have to be in a clique.
Okay, I think we got the drift of that point you're making. It's very interesting. Does anybody on the panel want to respond? I can't necessarily involve everyone because we've got to move on to other questions, but does anybody want to respond? Robert Galli for Labour, yeah?
So Fulham Football Club used to have a big presence on the Longmead estate in the Mugger. They used to come down. It wasn't paid for. They used to come engage with the kids. Unfortunately, there were a couple of bad kids on the estate who caused so much trouble that it wasn't safe for them to come to the Longmead Inn. Now, both of those kids have been dealt with, and we were waiting for other kids to come in and fill the gap, but that hasn't happened. So what we are hoping with the setup of the new council is we can engage with people like Fulham Football Club and get them to come back to the Longmead estate.
Right. Okay, let's move on to a new topic then. John Mumford, he's sitting over there.
How do the candidates, if elected, plan to ensure that our local neighbourhoods and communities are fully involved in decision making on the new council?
Right. And let me start with David Buxton, Liberal Democrats.
Thank you for your question. It's really important as Liberal Democrats, our strategy for running these things, we want good governance and good structure. And again, to refer to our manifesto, the council's been quite inefficient in some of those things. So we want to think about how we provide things in a really efficient way. If we've got a new council, new thinking, and a new cabinet, there'll be really clear political leadership. For example, Epsom and Ewell is run by the Residents' Association at the moment, and they've not had that political leadership, not in any joined-up way of thinking. Officers' decisions seem to have directed the course of action as opposed to any politicians. So we want to work with residents because that's who the councillors should represent. And we do that via a mechanism of co-production and involving residents from the very beginning of any process.
Okay, thank you. Yvonne Grunwell, Green.
Yeah, so at the moment it seems that there isn't a very good way of engaging residents, even with the two-tier system. It's just down to the councillor as to whether they knock on doors and ask people their opinion. And obviously you're only going to be knocking on so many doors and only so many people are going to be in. So it is an issue. And it's, for me, in the last year, knocking on doors and talking to people, it felt like I'm not talking to enough people. How can I get everybody's opinion? And it is a worry. It is something that we need to think about. And, you know, is it easier if we do some of it online? Like, how can we not only ask people's opinion, but make it easier for them to tell us what they want? And some of it is that when residents tell us, we need to listen. For example, you know, with the whole thing with the local plan, they did a consultation. More than 80% of the residents said they didn't want to build on the greenbelt, but they carried on with it anyway. It was 10,000 signature petition that they handed into the council, which rose to 13,000 to say they didn't want to build on the greenbelt. That was ignored. So not only do we have to ask people better, we have to give them more options and different ways for them to respond. And then when they do tell us, we need to actually listen.
Yeah, I think the question, I mean, you're further describing what is perceived to be the problem. The question is really in terms of the abolition of Epsom Ewell Borough Council and the creation of a larger authority. What mechanisms do you foresee the Green Party would advocate for to ensure that local voices are heard in that larger authority?
Well, I think we need to ask people what works for them. I mean, I think that's the idea, is that we ask people, how do you want to be in contact with us? And, you know, and come up with a better plan. But not based on what we think is better, but based on what the residents think is better.
Okay, Ben Cronin, Reform.
Thank you. So, neighbourhoods know their areas best. A good councillor acts as a bridge, not a barrier, ensuring that local knowledge shapes priorities rather than just reacting to complaints afterwards. So some things that we can do to help ensure that, you know, we understand what the issues are from local people would be to hold regular accessible ward forums and surveys before major decisions, not just telling people what's being decided. Push for earlier and more meaningful consultation, not just statutory minimums after options have been narrowed down. Support digital tools has been suggested, alongside traditional methods so more people can have their say. One caveat is speaking to some old people in the borough, they find it very hard to use the internet. We have to make sure that their voices were being heard, find a mechanism by which we can hear what they want to say. champion stronger scrutiny of how community feedback is recorded and acted upon, and give reasons why it isn't. And finally, work across parties to embed community involvement in the transition to the new East Surrey Unitary.
Thank you. Robert Galick for Labour.
Thank you. So we will be setting the standards for the new authority in the shadow year. We desperately need a Labour voice in those meetings to bring a human angle to proceedings. The half-baked parish councils in Epsom and Ewell fell through, but we need to maintain that spirit over the first term of the council. There will be many local arms of the new authority. Let's see what we can do to keep it local.
Thank you. Kieran Passan, Conservative.
Thank you. This is a major issue, especially with the LGR, and in essence, it's all about having efficiency, and it's important about that, not duplicating other layers of government. But what we can't miss is being pro-resident and hearing their voices first. I think Surrey County Council have been piloting local committees where residents are on it. That could be one approach that we can have, where we can hear firsthand on you. But it's also important to have really strong voices in a new unitary authority. And I think as Conservatives, we've always been strong voices and always delivered residents. And I think that's still important to have as we progress through.
You're referring to, is it called Neighbourhood Area Committees?
Yeah, I pronounced that, yeah, Neighbourhood Area Committees, yeah.
Trialled in some of the...
Piloted in some authorities, yeah. And it worked really well. Residents' feedback was really great. So I think that's one of the avenues that we could potentially use.
Well, I must turn now to the shaking head of Eva Kington.
Well, I have to say, one of the things I will do, if I get elected to, I will make sure that neighbourhood and area committees do not go ahead. They are basically talking shops for the police, health, and those organisations with a couple of residents thrown in. They are driven by data. In other words, they are told by the council what they're going to talk about. You have to have things that actually engage residents, not put them in the middle of a talking shop. If I get elected, I will go back to the situation and keep some of the things that Surrey do now, whereby at the local level, Surrey County Council provides the members with funding and also decision-making. Used to call them local committees, and by that way, residents come along, they can talk to their Epsom and Ewell East Surrey councillors, they can talk about the issues that are important to them, there may be some sort of consultation about some of the things they do, but crucially, money and decision-making with residents has to be in Epsom and Ewell. Thank you very much.
And finally, David.
I want to respond actually to Eva's point there. The Residents Association have always had an opportunity to consult residents well, and the local plan is a great example of that. But instead they opted to have conversations without transparency, and residents have felt sort of caught off guard by proposals when they've been put together. I believe that these neighbourhood area committees can work, where we involve residents from the very beginning. We devolve and set them up as we see fit, and so we can set the terms that residents do have information, are able to be involved in decision making. They may, we can insist that those committees are given a certain level of approval power to decision making, so that we are not just making decisions and offering out a token level of consultation. And that's a change in culture that's required, and we make it from day one.
Thank you. Mr. Mumford, do you have any response to these answers?
Well, I think it's the key issue, in my view. If the East Surrey Council is going to be successful, it has to engage with residents at the local level. And, really, this is the conundrum. The East Surrey should be more strategic, that's fine, but at the end of the day, when it comes to service delivery and involvement, responding to resident issues, there has to be some form of local structure and organisation. I'm not quite sure what the solution is, but it has to be worked on, hopefully, during the shadow year. It needs to be right from day one.
Does anybody else in the audience want to ask a question on this area? Local government reorganisation, abolition of Epsom Ewell Borough Council. Councillor Spickett, I believe. Residents Association, none such. Cuddington. Yes.
Good evening. I think we need to knock on doors, because quite often when somebody complains to you about a vehicle with wheels off that's parked at the end of their road, it is the last straw in a lot of stress that they're under. You can find out a lot about that resident by simply knocking on the door and going to talk to them, and that's very important. If you're going to be a councillor, you have to be prepared to do that.
Yeah. I understand you are standing also in this election on the 7th of May.
I am.
In Town and Down Ward. Is that
I
right?
am,
Yeah.
yes.
So if anybody wants to take the opportunity of asking this candidate a question, I have said that if candidates attend, there will be an opportunity, possibly, if time allows, to ask questions. But I've got one then, to follow through your sentiments. So where did you stand on the parish councils, and where do you stand on the, neighbourhood area committees as an alternative mechanism for local consultation?
Yes, two good questions. The parish councils, I wanted what the residents want. It was as simple as that. If the residents said no, great. If they said, we think it's a good idea, that's great. I was completely on the fence. Nothing to do with me, it was down to the residents. That's the way I saw that one. As far as the area committees go, I think the big pitfall is that we might not be able to agree. We could all be from different parties, and I think it would be, I wouldn't like to think we would spend a lot of time disagreeing with each other, but they only work if you want the same things. Now, my experience in council is that I've had a very good relationship with the opposition, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing for our residents.
Okay, so you're on the fence with the neighbourhood area committees as well?
I think we need to know more about it, but
All
I
right.
can see conflict.
Okay, thanks very much. Anybody else from the audience who's not a councillor, perhaps, has got a viewpoint? Gentleman on the third row at the back, got his hand up prominently there. Roving mic heading your way. If you could kindly give us your name if you wish.
Yes, my name is Ken Kimber. I live locally just round the corner in Hessel Grove, and I'm chairman of the Hessel Grove Residents Association, but that's just the
Your name rings a bell, I think, sir, because with the lights I can't actually see your face. You're also prominent in the local Liberal Democrats,
That's
is that
correct,
right?
yes.
So that's disclosed as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And I just wanted to say that I went along to one of the consultation meetings about the proposed parish councils, and it was in an afternoon. There were generally people there of my geriatric standing, and in the end the feeling of the meeting was very much that this was a nonsense, and I think it was a nonsense from the very beginning. And I'm saying that because I've lived here for 34 years.
Yeah, may I say that's, as it were, been settled, so we're now sort of looking forward to what...
And I'm just coming to that because it concerns the Unitary Authority. And I think we have a great chance with the new Unitary Authority of setting up, whether they be called local committees or consultations or whatever they are, of getting a much more direct communication with one authority which is going to be responsible for everything, because in my 34 years I've experienced much toing and froing between the county council and the district council, and we've had a lot of discussion here which seems to me to be based on district council experience, and yet Surrey County Council is of course responsible for all major services, and I think we will have a much more direct and obvious line of communication, and we should explore the idea of local committees under that authority.
All right, thanks for that point of view. Any responses from the panels? Yes, certainly. Mr. Galit.
Thank you. So when it came to the two parish councils, I think if there'd have been an option for a town council that could have preserved the mayoralship and the chain, it would have got my support. But as a council, we were just given basically 3 ways of splitting the borough in half. And I just couldn't get behind that when you consider how much it was going to cost.
Anybody else want to chip in?
Yeah, added to that, you're right. Service delivery is fragmented at the moment. You've got different councils, residents are confused. You don't know what or where to look if you need some help, and especially on councillors. On the parish council itself, as Rob said, we proposed it because the RA tried to rubber stamp it. It was, as you said, you went to on a consultation. They stood there for a few minutes. Some went home early, and they thought they could just push it through. I think that's what residents really don't like with the RA at the moment, is that they're just trying to push anything through, and the local plan happened in the same ilk. And while they'll say, oh yes, we're going to listen to residents now, they didn't before, and they won't probably in the future. So how can we trust them now?
Another shaking head from Leader Kington.
Well, I just make the point. It's somewhat ironic that the government says this is going to be a more democratic, devolving power system, and suddenly they realise it's actually centralising local government upwards, and they have to come with some sort of solution to the fact there's this huge void where residents feel that they don't have a say. And I didn't support parish councils, as I say, because I think we don't want another structure like that. We want the local councillors, the new local councillors, to be able to discuss with their own residents certain issues that they are given by the new local authority, but funding with it so that that group of people can together, the residents and the local Epsom and Ewell, East Surrey councillors, can make some of those decisions and residents feel consulted. I'm sorry that the proposal of neighbourhood area committees, read through it. It is health, fire, police, and those organisations make up the majority of it, a few selected residents there, and they talk about something that is data-driven and told what to do. That is not engaging residents. That's having another local quango dealing with an issue. We have to have a system that allows councillors to talk with and for directly with their residents. Thank you.
I turn to another shaking head, and David Buxton.
I just fundamentally disagree. I think it's really important that as local Lib Dems, we really believe in devolution and local relationships and planning, and that applies to roads, it applies to communities. If we've got those neighbourhood area committees and we can devolve decisions to them, I think that is a number one mechanism by which we can put resident voice first and in control of decisions with good leadership from councillors. Residents are our priority, and they always will be. I think this model is far preferable to an expensive parish council model that just increases the cost to residents without actually increasing their voice and representation.
Okay, let's move on to another question that's arisen from someone in the audience tonight. Crispin Hodges, can you put your hand up, please? There you are. Green jumper at the front.
Hello. Oh, that worked. As I drove here tonight, I was struck by the difference between the area I come from, which is Ashtead, and here, where it looks like there are England flags up high on lampposts that have been there for months, and the state of them. Now, in Ashtead, they disappeared, but they're still here. So I don't know which part of local government should have dealt with that, but I'm disgusted. It lowers the whole tone of the area.
So you say you come from Ashtead?
Yes. So we did have this problem, but it was dealt with.
Do you have a vote in the Epsom and Ewell divisions, or Ashtead? You don't know? Okay.
I don't know. That's another confusion, isn't it?
Ashtead village has a lot of English flags that are quite deliberately put there by the consent of the businesses. Is that not right, in the high street?
Yeah, I'm talking about people going up lampposts
without
and
authority,
tying them up there and leaving them there, and presumably it runs up costs to remove them. But in Ashtead, as far as I can see, they've gone.
Okay, so
but not here.
What is the candidates' attitudes to the removal of England flags from lampposts? Yvonne Grunwald, I'm going to put you in the deep end first.
Yeah, so I'm part of a local group that, I haven't been particularly active in them, but I've been supporting through Stand Up to Racism. And there was a lot of discussions about the flags. I know that in Ashtead, some people took it upon themselves to go up and take the flags down, but, that's very dangerous. And obviously they might just be put up again. I know that we put the question to the council as to why they hadn't come down in Epsom and Ewell, and we were told that it was because, I think there was two reasons. One, that I think the main reason is when they started to take them down, the contractors themselves were verbally abused, or it wasn't safe, so they decided that they were going to take them down just at the normal maintenance of the lampposts, which happens, I don't know.
So you think they should be taken down somehow?
Yes, I think they should have done. I have to say, I don't know how. I think the problem is that people were coming from other places and putting them up, and there needs to be, it's part of a bigger issue. You can just keep taking the flags down, but people will keep putting them up.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, I do agree with you. I agree they have to be taken down.
All right. Kieran Passan, Conservative.
As a person of colour, I absolutely hate divisional politics and do not stand for anything. Having said that, I am proud of my country, our country, and the flag. But what it meant was a symbol of hate. And for me, yes, the council needed to be proactive to remove it, but I don't think we should correlate the flag to a bad correlation that they're trying to achieve. I think we should, if you take an example for the protest, absolutely, absolutely awful thing if the gang rape occurred, but 80% of the people that went to that protest weren't even from Epsom. They use that as a vehicle for hate. I'm born and raised Epsom. I've never seen our community be suffering like that. My mum's a nurse, and I told her not to walk in the street after a shift. That is unheard of. She loves walking. Our community is usually safe. And I think our residents just need to be mindful that not everyone's like that, and we shouldn't let outsiders come in and destroy our community. On the flags, I was about to answer.
Well, your question was actually what is the attitudes of each candidate to the removal of the flag. So I'll turn to Eva Kinkton, councillor for the county, which is the Highways Authority, which has the jurisdiction.
Yes, and I was going to say that I am the only person here who actually is a Surrey County councillor, and you won't be surprised that people have contacted me on both sides. And I have had people saying, it's awful, it's racist, or I feel upset, and this was up. And you've got other people who say to me, "Oh, it's nice." What I have done as their Surrey County councillor is actually kept in touch with them all, explaining what the Surrey County Council is doing. And Surrey County Council's policy says that they will remove it when it is routine maintenance time, or if there is a flag that is causing danger, and I did report one in Ruxley Lane because it was flying over a traffic vehicle detecting sign, and that was removed. There have been some removed recently, and I checked with Surrey County Council, and indeed it was routine maintenance. Couple of points, and I am sympathetic to Surrey County Council on this. They don't want to place their contractors in a situation that they're taking them down and they are faced with people being angry. That's not what you employ contractors for. But equally, there's a sort of sensible view as well that basically over time this will sort of peter out, and they can do that. And that is, I think, what's happening now. But the flags that are being taken down are being taken down as a result of routine maintenance. I think as a Surrey County councillor, it's my role not to take sides, but to make sure when those people ask me questions, I go to Surrey and I get the answers. So I have been keeping all those people up to date, whether they're in favour or whether they're against, of what is going on. It's been a difficult time for a lot of people. Some people enjoyed it, but I think as a councillor, you've actually got to be making sure you're getting the facts out there correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed. So I'd like to say that I abhor racism in all its forms. I think our flags have been hijacked by the far right. I've been working with Stand Up to Racism on street stalls, handing out leaflets, going on marches. The question is, do you take them down quickly? And if you do so, that insults the patriots, of which I am one. Or do you leave them up and that placates the racists, basically? Personally, I'd like to see them gone as soon as possible.
Ben Cronin for Reform.
That's what a well-measured response from the Western Association. I appreciate. I would say some people here clearly don't like the flags, but it is the flag of the country we live in. If you went to France, you see the French flag. If you go to Scotland, you see the Scottish flag. If you go to Wales, you see the Welsh flag. It's unfortunately, as has been highlighted, certain elements have hijacked it, as we say, and people are upset. But if people are putting flags up because they feel patriotic, they have a right to do so. When you go to Ashtead, what you see the flags. When you go to Ashtead, you see... Am I allowed to speak? Thank you. You will see flags above the shops. Yeah? They are put there with a consent. This is done in an organised, sensible fashion. The problem I think people have is flags going up on lampposts in ad hoc fashion. If we would have it done in such a way that people would put it up and show their pride in their country, and do it in such a way that wasn't a thing, then there wouldn't be an issue. Are you saying that when when the council is flying flags, it can't fly the flag of England?
I don't think that is being said, is it? So, David Buxton.
Everything really good, particularly given that Mr. Buxton's software cannot transcribe with two voices at the same time, nor can his sign interpreter. So one at a time, especially tonight. Mr. Buxton.
Thank you. I read the captions, so one at a time is great. Thank you. Look, we are all proud to be British, and the flag is part of our nation, and I don't think that's up for debate. What I want to understand is the frustration that has led people to that act, and that is clearly existing in our community. We want people to be able to express their pride in being British, and also communicate their frustration in a way that is constructive, and we should be giving people space for that. I don't think this is the right act. So we need to recognise that we should be a country of hope, of unity, and that celebrates diversity together, and that includes all the views that we're hearing. And so I think we are obviously proud of our flag, but in the future we need to be clear in celebrating that in a way that makes sense. It's constructive in terms of.
Okay, any views elsewhere from the audience? Yes, a lady there. Right, you'll have avant the moment.
I have just one comment. My name is Romy Sister. I write for Epsom many times, sometimes. So about this flag story, I come from European Union, and we are in some countries obliged to hang our flag, because if we don't do it, we have penalty. And as a person in this country, as a foreign person, I'm not offended by anything like that. So thanks for thinking. Then I have a question, because I think that all candidates who sit here really care deeply about the roles and what you can deliver for us. I know that. But I have a question, because in general, in the world, people have lost trust in politicians in general. It's this, oh, go away, I don't want to hear, I don't know anything.
Does this question ultimately relate to the flag issue?
It goes to this direction, exactly. So how would you rebuild that trust to make everybody happy? And how would you engage young people and residents from diverse backgrounds like myself into what you intend to do? Plus, what have you done in regards to tackle crime? And what results have you achieved?
Okay, on the back of a response on flags, you've got a lot in there. Any other points people wanted to raise have not spoken before? The gentleman at the front here with the checkered shirt, you're walking the wrong direction, Mr. Mike Rager. That's good.
Yeah, just telling me so.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pascal van Loon. I'm a British Dutchman, so I've got dual nationality. And just to comment on the gentleman from Ashton.
Pascal, did you say?
Yeah, Pascal.
Good surname?
Van Loon.
Another Liberal Democrat. I recognise the name. Let's declare that. Otherwise, people think I'm stitching things up. I'm not.
The flags were removed.
So get to the point of the question about flags.
Yeah, they were removed just to satisfy the gentleman here from Ashton, but they were put up again on the main roundabout here. In the Netherlands, we put our flags on our houses to show proud we are flags off, not on public roads, of course. There's our own choice, and I'm proud to show the British flag off as well here. But I would not put on the lamppost. Okay. So you can't just reply to me when I reported the flags going up, and the answer the gentleman I gave from Surrey County is consistent, but to reply from Surrey County.
Thank you, Alex Coley. Councillor Alex Coley, independent councillor, former resident. He is also standing in this election, are you not? Which division were you standing in?
Oh, West Ewell.
Yeah, which division, sorry?
West Ewell.
West Ewell.
Yeah. Two things on facts. My teenage daughter came running downstairs to say there was a man outside her bedroom window at the lamppost putting a flag up there. I had complained that Dixon would take it down, if no one would take it down. I wonder if people in this room know that on St George's Day, the Borough Council refused to find a flag of St George at Epsom Marketplace because they were afraid of protest. So we have flags going up in places they definitely shouldn't be going, but the police should not be present there. And flags that really should be displayed on our National Day that are not going up because the council is so afraid of that. Learn one thing for you. There are 7 political affiliations running in this election. Yes. You have 6 of them on stage.
Yes.
There's a number of independents in this audience, and getting 3 independent councillors. We're not residents associations, we're independent. How will you be reflecting our views and our beliefs tonight?
Well, I've published a number of letters from you, and as you said, you're independent of each other, not a formal registered political party for this election, so it's difficult to provide a platform for each independent. So,
that's me.
Well, can you speak for all the other people that are independent? That's the dilemma of a true independent. Are you registered as a political party?
It's a choice.
Yeah. Well, no. If you're forming a name like the Residents Association, formally registered as a political party for electoral commission supervision, and you would not be. So the dilemma is, of all independents to be able to stand on the platform, it's just not possible. So what we'll do is move on. So we've time for one final question. Yeah, really, we need to move on. Get it in one more question before we close, which is an important one. And then I'm combining an advanced question with one that came tonight, as it's more or less touching on the same area. So I'll ask Robert Yeo, if that's an international name. Can you put your hand up? Right at the back there.
My question is about Horton Farm. There's a proposal to build over 1,000 houses on the farm, which is a green thing side to the green belt. But I'd also like to extend that question to all the green space in Epsom, which is the people power, and also finally to what is the future of the Epsom Council's candidate side management team who look after our green spaces. You do a great job.
Okay, I'll, on the general theme, get on with that, or it's a real party.
So the Ewell Head Councillors, we have been involved with campaigning to protect the green belt next to Ewell. For years, we had members who were in the State Epsom Green Board, and then I personally got involved a few years ago when the local plan was close to being handed in. That's probably not the official word. So, and then the Green Party set up, and because the original petition had been rejected from your council, which had 10,000 signatures, which raised to 13,000. We set up another petition through the council so that if we got the requirement of signatures, it would be read at full council, which it was, when I read it there. And everybody voted, all the parties voted, all the individuals voted whether to push it through, and it did go through. Obviously, it would be easier for the Green Party if we had a voice at the table. We will have councillors on East Surrey. They've already been doing a lot of work around protecting the green belt. And I know when we were in our work in writing a petition, we also did a rally and put out leaflets, and we did speak to their countryside team. They're not affiliated with Surrey Council, though, I don't think, are we? No. Oh, they're affiliated with them. The countryside, the CPRE?
No.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry.
No. Borough councils. I'm talking about Epsom. Use borough councils countryside massively. So
oh, and they protect the common and things like that.
they manage the content. Yeah, they manage.
And the horticulture.
They all council volunteers, which are much over hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're really a important part of Epsom and Ewell, so they need to be supported going through.
Ben Cronin for report. Specifically, Horton Farm, 1,000 houses on the cards.
Well, I think I made my feelings pretty clear. I haven't included Barford and what's going there. I mean, this is an opportunity to highlight the fact that the green belt was put up for grabs, stuck to us through by the Residents Association and the Democrats. And in fact, Kevin did the doff the cap because you actually voted against it. And for one of each next episode around the course. I've attended meetings at Priest Hill, which we've gone over to the Cunnings come through what it quite thinks going to quite pleasant, and also try to hold some of the building purpose to account. If I come into power, this is well important part of this feeling the three pillars with the tries to the cards on this place is beautiful. And I'm going to say so. Why don't you turn it into like a mini Saturn? It's actually a disaster.
Eva Kington for residents.
Eva Kington speaking for Eva Kington Residents Association. I would not approve 1,000 properties on Horton Farm. My track record is very clear. When I was on Epsom Ewell Borough Council, I wrote the motion which halted the plan. My intention was to stop any greenbelt going in. I was in the streets with the protesters outside because I do not support building on the greenbelt. And equally critical, I have to say, both of the Conservative and the Labour governments who make it difficult in when people are structuring their plan not to put things in. So I think there is a lot of blame on that. In this year, in 2025, at Surrey, we're going to put Grafton Stables in my division out for development. They're going to sell it for development for 40 houses. I campaigned long and hard. Surrey County Council changed its mind, and it is now Surrey County Council's first nature reserve in the north of Surrey, in Cuddington, because I campaigned for that. I do not support building on the green belt, and I never will. Thank you.
David Batson.
It's really important, and this has come up so much in our conversations. We've been really clear in our policy that we are brownfield first. And that's, to give you a bigger picture, I live in Livingstone Park, Horton Farm is just across the road from me. And I think we need to see a bigger picture. The local plan is essential. The Residents Association have been unable to put a plan together. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed. And a lot of political decisions have been left for officers to make that the politicians have then opposed. And it's not been a well-joined up, put together plan. We need to put together a good plan to work with residents, have them understand the process,
Because we need housing. We need housing for our key workers, for our teachers, for our young people as they grow and want to start their own families. Those homes are needed, and we have the opportunity to structure where they go and what those developments look like in the formation of a local plan. So we need to hear from residents, we need to understand. And as I say, our priority is brownfield first, but we need to make some difficult decisions sometimes. And if we don't put together a good plan, we lose control. We give up complete control of our green belt to a government minister who will make that decision on our behalf without our input. So it must be something that we are able to look at. The Liberal Democrats are very clear that no GPs, no infrastructure, no development, and so we need to make sure that is also resourced in any development of housing that we're putting forward.
Robert, thank you. So, my head says build the houses, but my heart says save the people. We desperately need a number of size social houses in the environment. There are residents living in appalling conditions. Families grow and people need to move up their chains. The Greenbelt should be the last stop ship there. So preliminary meetings for the local plan and the decision to build tower blocks near stations both passed through the Licensing Planning Policy Committee, and we need to be more thoughtful in the future. I've also spoken at rallies in Epsom to save the Greenbelt, and I will fight for the Greenbelt, but I will not do so at the expense of social housing.
Kieran Sanders.
Amazing to hear from our candidates protecting the green belt and criticising the local plan. Since 2023, when I was elected, I promised my residents I will fight tooth and nail to protect water farms specifically, because it's in my division, and I have done that every single opportunity I've had a chance to. If you don't know my name is probably mostly aligned every amendment, every motion to protect green belt. The RA criticised the government. Fine, yes, the Labour have now introduced mandatory housing targets, but it wasn't initially. They had a chance to push through a local ban where we could tackle our green belt land. Now we're in an awkward situation where we have a local ban that's gone to inspector. She's gone, okay, well, you've got the most high-performing green belt parcel of land that you can. What about the other parcel of land? Because you've still got a housing target, which is now mandatory to meet. And so that, because of the RA Council, we're now in that situation. In October 2023, the Lib Dems, Labour and Conservatives had a central opportunity to protect our green spaces with a motion amendment to a motion. Only the Conservatives voted against development and protecting our green belt land. The others played into against. Lib Dems voted against it, so did Labour. So for them to say now they're protecting the green belt and they want to protect our green spaces is ludicrous. They had a chance, they didn't. Residents tried that. And I am completely gobsmacked now with parties are saying that. Yeah, thank you to Ben for highlighting that, Nisha needs, the Conservatives have always been, from day one, protecting our green spaces.
All right, well, 75 minutes has flown by, and we need to wrap things up, I'm afraid. I want you to all recognise how courageous it actually is for individuals to stand for any party in any election, and the conduct tonight has been pretty impeccable, speaking to the times and the rules, which is, I can't distinguish between them as far as how law-abiding they are. So I don't think that therefore. I hope you may have learned something. Thank you for coming, and thank you again, Escort, for hosting, and goodbye and safe to and home. Thank you. I'll teach you that thing. We can get worse to my